Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. RC Crawler Talk. Today, we got the C3 back on the bench. C3, RC 4-wheel drive, Blazer body, all narrowed, hacked up, pinched, dove, chopped. All the custom goodies. Northwest Scalar Designs, scattergun V2 chassis. All kinds of good stuff. What you'll notice, I got me some new shoes on the truck. So I was running these 2.2 Super Swamper. They're like 5.4 tall, somewhere around in there. I did the custom cut on them. You can see it's filthy. It's got all that dirt and sand on there. Well, I got me some custom tires. What you're looking at originally was a 2.2 Proline trencher. These are rated at 5.75 tall, 2 1/4 wide, I believe. But you'll notice they're pretty doggone narrow. A little bit narrower than the Swampers. So, how did I do that? Well, took the tires, decided to narrow them up by about 1/4 inch. And what's left over, that used to be the center of the tread. I just kind of took the tire, I measured where I wanted to cut it. I knew I wanted a 1/4 inch narrower. So just looked at the tread, decided where I wanted to cut, decided I want to cut that center out. Took some Lexan scissors and just followed it all the way around, cut them all the way down. Then what I did, what wheels I got on here, so these are Amazon specials. Actually, I picked them up from a guy in our local group. These are just, you know, like the OMF knockoffs. But these are 2.2s, and they're 3/4 inch wide at the beadlock ring on the inside, so they're narrow. So you can't really narrow a tall 2.2 wide or 2 1/4 wide tire. You can't really narrow it up and put it on these wide rims. These rims are SSDs. And they're the wide version, and I didn't want to buy, it's really tough to find a narrow 2.2, so we just want some Chinesium wheels. You know, they're alright. They were red, so I bead blasted them and then painted them, so nothing special. So yeah, I got some pics of how I kind of had it set up, but basically what I did is after I got the tread cut out of the center, I bolted the rims together, obviously no foam, and made sure the bead of the tires were seated on that rim, so that rim held it in place. And then I went through and I used some Loctite. It's called Black Max. It's a Loctite 380. This is a glue designed for, an adhesive designed for rubber compound. It stays a little bit flexible and it bonds really, really well. I've used it on another set of tires to kind of for patching. Every time I rip a sidewall or something, I'll throw some Black Max on it. It's like 30 or 35 bucks on Amazon. So a little bit at a time. I mean, making all 4 of these tires and get them all glued together probably took me total time, I would say close to a week and a half. A little bit here, a little bit there. You know, kind of got to find the seam. When I had them bolted to the rims, I had them hanging on a piece of rod, and I just a little bit of tack at a time and stuck the tire together. Now, because the tire wants to flare out, I took some tape, just some old regular old blue masking tape to the rim, up and over, and kind of squeeze these together, push this down, and tape the other side to kind of give it a hold. Now, it took so long because you only could do, you know, a couple tacks at a time, and once I got about 8 tacks I found on the first tire, I was able to go through and pinch this open up that tread or that seam, and dab in that Black Max as I went. Put another piece of tape on it, went to the next section. You know, it's like welding steel but with rubber. So it worked out pretty good actually. And for the foams, you can see it's pretty firm. I got about 1/8 of an inch down probably. Very minimal sidewall flex. You know, everybody's running these anti-foams, the 3D printed inserts. The foams are Proline single stage foams. for a 2.2 rim. Those are also wide, so I actually had to cut those in half and narrow those up by about 1/4 inch. I did have to play with a little bit of glue, so when I got 2 halves of the foam together, I cut 1/4 inch out and I put it back together. One of the first tire I did, I used to use regular old super glue or CA glue. Glued it together, let it dry. It's holding, but when that glue dries, it hardens. So when you're trying to flex that foam into the tire, I could hear the glue cracking from flexing it and moving it, because then you got basically 2 halves of that foam squished together. So as you flex it and move it, it was cracking. So the other 3, when I got them narrowed and I went to glue them back together, I just used a good old tube of E6000, Us RC hobbyists know all about E6000 or shoe goo, same stuff. That stuff actually stayed pretty pliable. And yeah, it worked a lot better, I think. So once I got those all glued together, it took some time, took some patience, and then once you get, both the foam glued together, I took it on I had an old 2.2 plastic axial rim. I was going to show you, but I don't see it. And I had an old AR60 axle shaft, rear axle shaft, that I bolted the rim to the shaft via the threads and a wheel nut, and then chucked it up in my drill, stuck it on the old belt sander, and shaved it down. So those single stage Proline foams, they got a bunch of ribs in the outside edge of the foam. I took them down. It took a couple times before I got where I wanted it, but I finally decided I'm just going to take all those ribs off, and I actually beveled the edges here on both sides, the outside edges, to give it a little bit more flex here. But then I took all those ribs down to pretty much nothing, and then I added a little a 2.2 tuning ring off another. I had some in my spare box I never used before. So I cut those down as well, 1/4 inch, stuck them in there, and I'm pretty happy with it so far. This thing is gripping pretty good. So I've got it out a couple times, once in the backyard. I'll add the footage here to the video. And then I got to go out this last weekend. I ran it on some wet, snowy, and moss-covered rocks. It did surprisingly well. These things grip pretty doggone good. So Class 3, it's only limited by tire height. It's not limited by what you do to the tires. You can cut them, you can sipe them, as long as it was originally a legal per SORRCA rules tire. There is a tire ban list if you're curious about that. Check out sorrca.com. That way you know what tires you can do. But it doesn't limit you. You can narrow them, you can cut sidewalls out, put whatever you want to do. Cut some blocks out. Heck, if you wanted to, you can make them wider. But I feel as though the narrower tires do extremely better than these guys. And these ones are pretty soft. I got pretty good grip with them, but I'm telling you, nothing like these. These are also, if I didn't mention it, these are Predator compound trenchers. So they're even softer than the G8 compounds. Not that that really matters a whole lot up here in the Northwest. G8 seem to work better most of the time, but there's no denying that these things are working good. So check out the video. Let me know what you think. It was just kind of a quick update on the old C3, the MUTT. I know I hadn't put one out in a while. I'm still working on the C1, and I got a new toy that I'm going to be showing you guys here shortly. All right, well, thanks for watching. Listen to me babble and checking out my dirty truck. And hopefully we'll see you guys soon. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.